Huntertown, Indiana. It's Soarin Hawk on the air. Today we're going to change subjects a little bit because it's too wet and miserable outside to go out looking at the birds. So instead we're going to stay inside and do a little bit of schoolwork. So today we're going to talk about how to identify the birds you're looking at. So today we're going to start off, hi Emily. Hi.
Hi.
So Emily and I are going to try to help you out on identifying birds and telling you how you can identify and separate the different species from each other. So we're going to start off with the simple birds. We're going to start off with the falcons. These are the little fast guys that switch down through the air. They have swept-back wings, and they can be very fast, and they're pretty ubiquitous. They're found all over the place. So this is one of our friends. This is Homer, and Homer, are you going to talk today? No. Okay. So falcons basically have, like I said, have swept-back wings, have narrow bodies. Some are chunkier than others, but we'll look at these. Almost all falcons have some kind of a eye shield, okay, or eye stripe or hood or something like that. So first off, with finding these birds, typically we see them sitting out on branches or on telephone wires or fence posts. And when they sit up, you can see the body has a certain attitude to it, okay? So it's not horizontal and it's not vertical, but it's in between about 30 degrees. And so that's just one of the things that you can, when you look at a wire, you can say, oh, so that's not a bluebird. Okay, that is a kestrel. So to identify these birds, first off, we start with, is it a male or is it a female? So this is Homer, and Homer's a male. And he's exhibiting his dichromatic, let's see, what's the word I want now? There goes the old brain. Yeah. These old guys, they kind of thing. So anyways, so he has these different colors, dimorphism, that's it. Yeah, okay. So dimorphism. So he's told from the female because he's got these nice gray wings. And if you notice, if you compare the two birds that are close together here, she's just a little, she's a little fatter, okay, a little heavier looking than the male.
Bigger bones.
Bigger bones, okay. And of course she has to be because she's the egg layer, okay, and she's also the one that hibernates, incubates the eggs. So I'm just getting over winter, so I'm trying to get out of that mode. So she incubates the eggs. In between, all right, after the babies are hatched, you will see an intermediate color in between a male and a female. So the babies will be more this brownish color, more stripes on them. Even though they're males, they all kind of look like little females. And then as they molt out in the fall, then they'll start getting their proper colors depending on their sex. So identifying these guys, basically, don't point at the bird. Okay. Yes, okay. Don't do that. You lecture me every time. Yes. So some of the things you can tell about him. Of course, he's got the rufusy back, blue wings. You notice the tail has a band on the tail, and the tail flares out. And right now he's doing this, flicking his tail up and down. He's not waving. He's actually using that to maintain his bounce. And of course, we'll show you that head bob thing that they do. Okay, and that's so they can keep their eyes fixed on their prey. So in flight, typically, like I said, there's swept back wings. And so you want to get a picture of that over there, the swept back wing thing? Oop. Okay, this is cheap production, so you just have to put up with what we're doing. No. Over, down, falcon. It's okay.
I'm only the cameraman.
Yes, the cameraman.
Sorry.
So anyways, so you can see the swept back wings, all right, and typically narrow body. Some raptors, some of the other, like the peregrines, are a little chunkier looking. If we had a Merlin here, she'd be more bullet shaped, all right. So there's a little bit difference, but basically you can go by the swept back wings. And don't be confused by things like killdeer that have lined by. They have swept back wings too, or terns, those are seabirds or lake birds, and they have swept back wings. But you can pretty well tell by the coloration underneath. You got the coloration underneath here, and so there's colors underneath. Most of the other birds are usually a uniform color underneath. So there you go. Okay. So that's basically these guys. Like I said, see them on telephone wires. Sometimes you see them on tree branches, fence posts. And don't be surprised to see them downtown Fort Wayne. Sometimes you'll see them down there. In fact, there's a pair that nest right behind O'Sullivan's tavern or bar. And there's also some that live down there in the big old GE building. And there are many others. As long as there's food down there for them, they'll be hanging about. Now, one of the birds that we have in Fort Wayne are peregrine falcons. We have none for display here, but I can show you a peregrine falcon. This is one of our peregrines from Fort Wayne. This is Freedom. She was with us over 10 years. She had 36 offspring that did hatch out, and she's a peregrine, and you can see the black hood that comes down over her eye. Again, anti-glare thing. So a little, wider wings. So she's about, as you can see, she's about half again bigger, or almost twice as big as the kestrel, and so you can see her talons here, really strong. Now the thing is interesting is if you watch these guys flying around downtown, if you're lucky enough to get high up in one of the skyscrapers downtown, you can really watch these guys at work, and they can build up a lot of speed. And in fact, we were downtown one time. We had just finished a show at the Grand Wayne Center, and we came out in the parking lot, and we were loading up, and here we heard this bird just screaming down the road, and here she came in at about 30 feet above us, and she was really moving because she had some nice things to take back home, okay? So it's not very unusual to see these guys downtown. They've really habituated, and so they're down there catching all these pigeons and starlings and other things. So if you want to, you can get on the AP Falcon Cam and take a look and see what's happening. Right now, our guys down there, I think it's Moxie, has 4 offspring right now, and they're taking care of it. And just to give you an idea, here's one of the eggs from Freedom that didn't develop. And so this is, you can see the size of the egg. So that must be a little on the painful side, I think, laying that. But one of the interesting things is watching her when she's chasing birds down there. And she chases a lot of different kinds of birds. When we go up on the roof to service her nest site, it's covered with everything from ducks down to cuckoos, down to pigeons. I think in the springtime they just welcome spring because it's a change of diet, get away from those starlings and pigeons. So anyways, if you're watching the Falcon Cam, you notice that this year the eggs were really, really coppery brown color. And so the eggs will change different colors depending on what kinds of foods they've been eating, and that'll produce the chemicals for that. So we're going to put our guys together. Oh, got a question?
Yes. Yeah, in my piece of paper. How many types of falcons are there?
Where? In North America? Basically, there's 6 types of falcons, I believe, in North America. So we have kestrels, for one thing, the American kestrel. Then we have the Merlin. We have peregrine falcons. We have the Gyr falcon. We have prairie falcons. And I know there's one more, and unfortunately, it slipped my brain there a little bit. That's what you get when you hire old people. Anyways, those are the 5 major ones that you're going to find, these like the peregrines here. The peregrines, you'll find them all across the states. Well, so we find the kestrels. There's several different races of kestrels. I think there's like 7 different races of kestrels found in North America, and but some of them come down from the Arctic regions. Yeah. And some of them are desert habitats. Some of them like forests. Some of them, they're all, wherever there's a cavity that they can roost in or nest in, that's where they go. And so some of the kestrels coming through here are migratory. Some of them are permanent residents. Like these 2 here, they're permanent residents, not just because we're keeping them, but they're the race that stays here. Got another question?
Yes. What are the differences between a kestrel and a sparrowhawk?
Ah, yeah, okay. Sparrowhawk is the old name for kestrels, okay? So it's something that came over. The Europeans brought a lot of bad stuff with them, okay? There was the names of their birds that looked similar to our birds, so they said, okay, that looks like a robin, Well, their robin and our robin are two different species and two different families. So the robin we have is a tortoise, and the robin they have is basically almost related to flycatchers. So, and of course their flycatchers are different than our flycatchers. So it's a really interesting mixed bag. So these used to be called sparrowhawks. Maryland's used to be called, we had pigeon hawks, okay? And then peregrines were called duck hawks. So that's what they were called in the old days, and we've gotten away from that. So sparrowhawks now belong to the family of accipiters, which is the next topic we're going to go to. We have some well-mannered accipiters up behind us, and we'll take a look at those. So let me go ahead and put these guys away, and we'll, just take me a moment. Come on. There you go. Step back. Step back. Here you go. There you go. Oh, you were good. Yep. Okay. And take a moment here. There we go. So our next topic is going to be accipiters. And you're probably familiar with accipiters. Those are the birds that come around your garden and go after your bird feeders. So the common accipiter that we have in this area are called Cooper's hawks. And this is a Cooper's hawk here. And so go ahead. Eating our favorite food for them, starling. So this is a very adult Cooper's hawk. Has this nice red eye, and so it's about half again bigger than a blue jay. You'll see them typically. They don't sit out in the open. They don't perch in the open. Typically, they hide in trees and bushes because they want to ambush their prey. So this is a bird eater. It will take little mice, and it will take maybe a chipmunk or something like that, or a little snake. But typically, what it likes is to eat birds. And so it waits in ambush. And when it sees a bird sitting out on a perch or somewhere where it's not paying attention, particularly if it's feeding on something, then the bird will fly in very quickly. They're typically, if you look at the silhouette of the accipiter, has fairly short wings, okay? Rounded wings, and these are tough wings. They're designed so that he can manipulate his flight going through bushes and trees and things like that. He can actually hit branches in trees as he's flying along. Has a long tail that gives him a lot of steerability so he can move around, twist around trees and things. And one of their favorite things when they're going after some prey is to chase it into an object like the side of a house, a window, or something like that. So it stuns itself, and then as the bird falls to the ground, then he goes down and gets it. Sometimes these guys, if you notice, he's got these nice big long legs. He'll actually get down on the ground and pursue his prey on foot. So he'll run through either on the ground. Some people, come on, be good kids, okay? So anyways, so these guys will go jump from branch to branch, pursuing their prey, trying to tire it out. Okay, and so long legs. Now, this next bird over here, okay, is a sharp shin hawk. Okay, so it's got these. If you look at the shins here, the leg is basically sort of triangular and has a ridge down the front. Okay. Now, they are, to us, they're really passage birds. We don't see them very often during the summer or the winter, but we see them passing through in the fall and the spring. And you can see he's about the size of a blue jay. Again, a bird-eating species. And the problem for him is he can't take anything big. So he's only good for sparrows and warblers and vireos and things like that. So, but one of the questions is, since they look almost identical, how you tell them apart? Well, I'm going to shift this guy around. Okay. We'll shift you around, and then we're going to take this one and turn him around. Okay. the way you basically tell them apart is that a Cooper's hawk will have a rounded tail like this. Okay, so the tail is rounded, whereas the sharpshin, the tail is almost square. Okay, so it's flat on the end. So that's the easy way. So two things you can use: size, even though you can have small Coopers, or you can have large Sharpies. But basically, that's the easiest way to tell the difference if you're observing a bird that's sitting out there. So sharpshin hawks, and now the other bird that comes through occasionally, you don't see them too often around here, and that's goshawks, and that's a bigger version of the Cooper's hawk. And if you get up nice and close to them, you can actually see that there's a big eye line over the top, okay, over the ridge brow, and really makes it look very menacing. And again, it's about half again bigger than this. There's a lot of goshawks around the world, and but it's very unusual for us to see them here in the Fort Wayne area. They pretty well stick up in Canada, the heavy, some more people talking, okay? So it's very unusual to see a goshawk in this area, but occasionally you will see them in passage. And again, bird eaters, and they will go after bigger things. They'll go after grouse, chickens. In fact, even Cooper's hawks will go after chickens. And these are really the real true chicken hawks. I know a lot of red tails get blamed for it, kestrels get blamed for it, but no, these are really the bird eating hawks. Okay, and those are the ones that come to your backyard and eat your chickens and your sparrows and other things that you want to have around your house. So
we have a question.
No, okay.
What hawk would be at my feeder that doesn't have red eyes?
Well, okay, they don't get the red eyes until they're older. So they start off with kind of a light tannish yellow eye, and then as they grow older and older, the eyes become redder and redder. So that's probably about the third year, fourth year, they get an orange eye. And then as they get to full adulthood, they'll get a red eye. So it almost looks like their eyes are bleeding. If you see them in flight, it really puts you off. Kind of like, wow, But and that eye really stands out because when they're on the hunt, those eyes are actually protruding almost because they're focusing on things, and so you can really see that. So red eye is typical of a full adult bird in a range of about 5 to 6 years. Any more questions?
Nope.
No. Oh, okay. I'm full of answers. Okay. So the next set of birds that we're going to talk about are the buteos, okay, and or buteo type birds. And typically these are long-winged birds, somewhat medium to short tails, okay, and they're primarily designed for soaring, right? Right. Okay. And so they're typically tree nesters. And, and quite common. In fact, most of the buteos, well, I would say at least the buteos we have are somewhat used to humans, and you will see them typically in farmland, but also around houses and things. And they're primarily rodent eaters, right? You like rodents, okay? So they're the ones that go after your mice and voles and squirrels and bunnies and puppies and kittens, okay? So, love your kittens and you love your puppies, keep them indoors, okay? Or stay out there with them and, mind them. So who's going to be first that we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about broad-winged hawks. Hi, how you doing? Okay, so this is a broad-winged hawk. What's your name? Okay, Hawkeye. Okay, he used to be called Billy, but some people thought that was just too common. So this is Hawkeye. He came to us about, I guess it's about 8 years now, maybe 9 years ago.
2012.
2012, okay, 8 years, okay. So he came, he got knocked out of a nest during a big windstorm, and we went to get him. Somebody said that there's a bald eagle laying on the bald eagle chick, and when we got there, we found this white puffball about the size of a softball, and raised him up, and sure enough, he's turned out to be a broad-winged hawk. And unfortunately, one of his eyes was damaged in the fall, so he's non-releasable. But this is a not very common bird that we have in this area. Nests in trees about maybe 20, 30 feet up, deciduous trees. And again, it eats a lot of small rodents, snakes, maybe large insects, that kind of thing. To us, most of the time when we see these guys is on passage. And they primarily nest up in Canada. And they go through here in huge flocks. And they're soaring birds. And what these guys do is they get together in huge flocks and they depend upon thermal updrafts coming up off of farmers' fields to rise up, and they put their wings out like a paraglider. Okay, yeah, very good. Thank you. On cue. And put those wings out, catch that thermal rising, and then they circle up into the sky, and they go from thermal to thermal to thermal. So these guys can travel hundreds of miles a day, just depending completely on the wind. So we hear them. They a lot of times, if you live out there by an interstate or by a river or something like that, they typically follow interstates now. That's one of the good things that we've done to them, because thermals rise up off the interstates. The interstates have a lot of concrete, a lot of heat generated by the cars and things, and so the hot air rises, and then these guys rise up on it, and you can hear them up there. You can hear that little cheep cheep sound coming from way high in the sky. And if you look up there, even though it may look like floaters to you, it's actually these guys. So they'll go for hundreds of miles in a day, and then as nightfall comes and the thermals die off, then they drop down into the deciduous forest. In fact, one year the Pope was up in Canada, and I think it was Montreal, or maybe it was Toronto. I think it was Montreal, and he was doing a sermon there at a baseball field. And all of a sudden, all these broad-winged hawks showed up over top of the baseball field. There were thousands of them. And they're rising off the thermal generated. Well, it wasn't the hot air from the Pope, okay? Don't get me wrong. No, it was from all those people there, the masses of people. And so these birds just took that heat energy and rose way high in the sky to a point where they couldn't even be seen. And so they're up there thousands of feet and proceeding along. So when they go out and you see them, you're going to see the wide wings. There's some stripes, okay, in the wings, and also you see the stripes in the tail. Turn your tail a little bit, okay. Got a couple little stripes here, okay. And so a short tail, because they don't need a lot of maneuverability, all right. So they just basically need to be able to soar and to soar around and that kind of thing. Now,
one interesting thing, if you could talk about how far they migrate, I find that fascinating.
Oh yeah.
How far they.
Oh yeah, they migrate. They go all the way from Canada all the way down to Mexico or down into the Caribbean. In fact, they go across the Caribbean and into Venezuela, Guyanas, Colombia. So you'll see them all the way down to the edge of where the mountains start on the central part of Venezuela. So they go a long way, so they're on all the Caribbean islands, so you'll see them by the thousands down there. But yeah, in fact, people go down to Mexico or the Texas-Mexico border to watch the crossings where these guys go across there around El Paso. And so you got that mountain range there, and they just fly down along that mountain range and right across. It's a fantastic sight. So there's always something to do out there watching birds, so you don't have to sit in the motel room watching TV. So when you travel. Okay, so we're going to switch cameramen. Hello. Yeah, okay. So we're going to talk to Ginger next. And Ginger's a red-shouldered hawk. Oh, your tail's a little messed up, isn't it? What'd you do to your tail? You pulled one of your feathers out the other day, didn't you? Okay, so this is Ginger. She's a red-shouldered hawk. Named a red-shouldered hawk because of the red shoulder there. Don't put your finger up there, Bob. Okay. The first year, they don't have that red shoulder. Again, like a lot of species, the birds don't get a color change until they're mature enough to breed. So the first year basically has this rufusy color with black in the wings. And again, barring in the wings and this nice barred tail. Well, it should be a barred tail. Yeah, I know. Okay, nice barred tail. Now, she's what, 5 years old? 6.
I think 6.
6 years old. She's 6 years old, so she's a nice mature bird. Yes, aren't you? Right. So, again, she came to us. She was a car strike, and so she was feeding on some carrion alongside the road, or she was just flying across the road and was struck. These are forest birds, okay? So they're not normally found out soaring around open areas like prairies or farmland, that kind of thing, but they would be on the edges. So they'd be on the edges or into the forest, and they eat a wide variety of things. They do like mice, they do like small birds, and that's usually nestlings. They don't pursue birds. In other words, they can't catch them in the air, but they will eat those. They'll eat snakes, crawdads, turtles, salamanders, that kind of thing. And and as I understand it, they will go in after fish a little bit, minnows and things like that. So these guys are becoming quite a bit more common. I have a lot of people here in Fort Wayne that have these coming actually to their feeders in the wintertime. First frost, they show up. Last frost, they leave. So the official end and start of summer with these guys. But when you see these guys flying through the forest, you'll see stripes along the back of their wings, okay? And you see the stripes in their tail as they fly away from you. So who's next? Oh, I know. We got to put a bird away or get a bird out. Okay, I'll put a bird away. Okay. No, this isn't working. We need one more person. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. While we're doing that, I would hum some music, but we got a nasty letter from Facebook that we used some music that was copyrighted. I did not know that Rimsky-Korsakov still held the copyrights on. That was 200 years ago.
We have a question.
Sure.
How high up in the sky can hawks fly?
Ooh, they can get way up there. Okay. Yeah, so it's not uncommon for some birds to actually fly higher than the Himalayas. But for our birds, you're probably talking about 2 miles up. And so you're talking about 10 to 12,000 feet is probably about normal. And the reason they can do that is because they have, large lung capacity for one thing. The other thing is that they also have air sacs. So they have air sacs, and they have that so they can retain more oxygen. And also, when they're flying and migrating, they're really not doing a whole lot of exercise. They're not actually, most of their energy is spent getting up off the ground. Once they get off the ground and airborne, then they depend upon a tailwind to move, or they depend on thermals to stay up or aloft. So they're expending very, very little energy. So they don't. So they get way high altitude. So it's really when you're out there in a light plane. Sometimes it's really disconcerting to have a vulture sitting there on your wing as you're flying along at about 6,000 feet. It's kind of like, whoops, is this a message? Oh, somebody's got a question. Okay.
Would they go after an 8-pound chihuahua?
An 8-pound chihuahua. Wow, that's odd. Well, yes, it might fit in there. So I would. You figure that some of our birds, like our great horned owls, they go after things like skunks, which are the same size as a full-grown house cat. Thing like a red-shouldered hawk may not. It would go after, say, something about the size of a kitten or something like that. Chihuahua might be a little large for them, but for a red-tailed hawk, if they are really desperate, they might, because 8-pound Chihuahua is probably about the size of a good-sized fox squirrel. So they take good-sized fox squirrels, so it wouldn't be out of the question. So our last beauty that we're going to show you, which is very common, this is Orion. And you know what? I didn't introduce Gigi. I'm sorry, Gigi. Oh. I'm sorry.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, my producer and cameraman. Okay, so this is Orion. How you doing, Orion? Okay. And I think there's a dispute. He is a male, right?
No,
it's a female. Really? We finally discovered that.
Yeah, she laid eggs last year.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about that. Okay. So one of the big questions that we get is red tail. Is it a red tail, or is it one of the other birds from out west? And so get your wing out there again. Can you get your wing out there again? Okay, so there's several ways that you can tell that this is a red tail. First off, it has a belly band. All right, so if you have a hawk sitting on a post or on a telephone pole or something like that, and it's all white underneath or brownish underneath, but it has a belly band, you got yourself a red tail hawk. If it doesn't have a belly band, it could still be a red tail hawk. Okay, so this is what makes things a little confusing. But so some of the other things you look for, of course, you look to see if it has a red tail. But if you look up here, the petesium there, okay, that little black area right along here, the little dark area right here in the forewing. Come on, get it up. Can you get it up here again? Come on. Okay, come on. Keep talking. So, come on, up. Can you get your wing out? Come on. Whoops. Anyways, so along the wing here, okay, there's an area called the petesium. There's a bone there. There's a flap of skin that sticks out in front of that. And then over that, of course, there's feathers. And if you look, you'll see there's a dark area. Sometimes that's much darker. Sometimes it looks like a great big black spot. So that's one of the ways that when you're seeing a soaring bird up there, soaring around, and it's got a white belly, you can look for the petesium. And that's a good clue as to what's going on. Now, the tail, okay, turn the tail around. Okay, so she's got a nice red tail. I've been calling him he for a long time. You know, I always think of Orion,
Right, I know. It's tough.
We're going to have to change the name to Orionis or something. I don't know. But anyways, in their third year, they get this nice red tail. You see there's a nice black band across there. In the previous years, when they're youngsters, okay, first year, their tail feathers look like their wing feathers, okay? So they have the same kind of markings, and that's so that adults know that this is a juvenile and is not a bird to be concerned with. It's not a threat to the mating pair or the breeding pair. In their second year, then they start developing more red in the tail, and it varies all over the place. Sometimes you get a couple central feathers are red, and then the rest of the feathers are brown still with bands in it, or they may get all red with bands in it. So that's usually the second year, and then the third year they get these nice rufusy red tails like this. So this is one of the larger buteos that we have in the area. That's unlikely that we would get any of the western birds here. We're kind of a little bit too far east to pick up some of the things like the Harlan's hawk and some of those. And a lot of these races, okay, like the Harlan's is a real dark phase of the red-tailed hawk, and so you might get something like that. But typically around here, we don't see anything except red tails. And the next nearest thing to a large raptor that'd be soaring is either a bald eagle or a golden eagle. So let's see. So I'm going to let you put those away. Any more questions yet?
Mm-mm.
How are we doing on time?
My watch is on my other left hand.
See the time on there. It is 1:49.
1:49. I think we've used up all our time, but I can keep on going. Oh, somebody's going to get a treat, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so unlike the elephant, it doesn't work for peanuts. Okay, so you got to give them there we go. I can hold that. What do you need out of here?
I got a little chicken leg. There we go.
Okay. Oh, you got a little chicken leg there?
Yeah.
Oh, what a good
Is that
boy.
good?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
2 chicken legs. Okay.
I'm just giving you a treat now.
Okay, I spoiled you. I've done it. Okay, so that's always a great thing to watch. Is the so. Okay, go ahead, make a pig of yourself. Okay. Well, this is. I don't know if this is entertaining or not.
For some, it is.
Yeah. But so for all you hawks that are watching, it's kind of like,
Sorry, she's being a little gross.
Yeah.
There it goes, down the hatch.
Yep. Legs and all.
Yep.
And now she's looking for more. That's one thing about hawks. Typically, they're going to fill up, and they'll fill up the tank and then some. And occasionally, when we come upon a red-tailed hawk that's been injured, typically it's because they were so full of food they just couldn't get up off the ground or even consider leaving. And so we've had some that have come in and just complete, almost catatonic. They're just asleep because they're just stuffed with food, and it's kind of like, oh, everything's right with the world. If they get a good feeding, they'll go up in a tree and they'll stay there for a day or two, without hunting. They'll just get themselves comfortable, catch some sunshine in the morning, and just veg out. Well, they don't veg. I don't know what you call it, meat out. So it's kind of okay. So we'll talk about our last class of birds that we're going to talk about today, and that's eagles. And another question. Okay.
Do hawks have a crop like a peregrine does?
Okay, yes. Hawks have a crop. Okay, hawks have a crop, but owls don't. Okay, so they have a crop where they grind up the food and pre-process it, if you will, prior to it going down to the stomach for digestion. And they do cough up pellets, and usually they're not as prolific with the pellets as the owls are, but they will cough those up. Next question.
What is the group name you're calling them? Buteos, why?
Why? That's a scientific name for that family. So we have falcons, which are falconiforms, and so you have accipiters, which are the forest hunting birds, and then you have buteos, and then you have eagles. But eagles is a big, broad thing, So we have two types of eagles that show here. One's is what in the family called sea eagles, and then we have the golden eagles, which are basically the you might call them mountain eagles. So there's two different families there, and then there's a whole bunch of eagles in between. The Europeans kind of got carried away with naming birds, and so there's a lot of things out there called hawk eagles because, well, they're bigger than buteos, but they're smaller than eagles, so they got called hawk eagles. We have fish eagles, sea eagles, and like I said, the bald eagles are part of the sea eagle family. And so there's a lot of different subdivisions, if you will. So but the major raptor things, and then we got vultures to throw in there, and vultures fall into a family all their own because they're really not raptors per se, because they don't go and squeeze their prey to death. They actually, they find something dead or maybe almost dead, and then they just tear it apart and regurgitate and swallow it. Okay, and so they don't really have sharp talons for gripping anything. And in fact, they're probably more related to storks than they are to hawks. Okay, in fact, they've just reclassified the order of the birds, and we have found that by analyzing DNA and everything, that falcons are more related to parrots than to actual hawks. Okay, so hawks are more primitive, all right, if you will. Okay, so they're lower in the classification, and so the falcons are way up there with the parrots and things. And you look at a falcon and you look at that head, and I swear that's what my cockatiel thinks it's a falcon. That crest has that crest, has that sharp beak, and swept back wings, and so there's a lot of So when you look at some of the parrots, that kind of thing, then you kind of wonder, like, okay, good thing they went to be vegetarians, So falcons are actually more related to parrots and that family. And if you ask me the names of those families, I can just butcher Latin all day, so I'm not going to do that. So any more questions?
Nope.
Okay. Well, the last birds that we're talking about, I think I've run over my 30 minutes, haven't I?
We're about almost 45 now.
Okay. But if everybody's still tuned in, okay. So eagles, we'll just talk about just briefly. Everybody kind of knows what an eagle looks like. I mean, it's a big bird, but in flight, okay, very long wings, very squared off, all right? They're not, the buteos tend to be more rounded and got a little bit of mouse on my fingernail. Sorry. And the tails tend to be longish, okay? So again, big soaring birds, okay? So when you're looking up there and you see a big bird with very wide wings, very flat flight, it could be an eagle. And young bald eagles, of course, don't have white heads and white tails. So they're all brown. So the question becomes, is it a golden eagle or is it a bald eagle? Well, bald eagles are basically a solid color all the way across if they're a young one. Of course, the adult ones have white tails and white heads. Now, if it's a golden eagle, it has a white spot here, and a white spot at the rump, or the vent area. So when you look up and you see 3 white spots, that's a golden eagle. And we don't see golden eagles here except during passage. Typically about late October, November, early November, we see them passing down. They're coming down out of Canada. And in the springtime, we see them usually in about mid-March or so. And we have a couple that every year show up over here by Leo. We have been known to release a few golden eagles around here. And they remember us. I think they come by looking for some free snacks. But over there by Leo High School, I always keep an eye out when I'm going along the reservoir for looking for golden eagles. And so, I don't know, I think I'm going to wrap that up for today. If you got more questions, you can fire those in. I hope Mary's keeping track of this. That's our remote location. We're trying to avoid the corona things. We're looking for them. We haven't seen them here. But, so, anybody, no more questions? I'm going to sign off for today. And next week, we're probably going to be talking about owls. So we'll have some live owls. And we'll have some really interesting owls like snowy owls and great gray owls and some things like that. And so we'll be talking about those. Okay, bye.